Is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy back again, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's been a while, but it's Wednesday and we're back. Happy hump day. And you see who I'm with. My guy, the guy that's going to start off the college football season with an L to my Tar Heels, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
Man, it's been a while. It's been a long time since we've been able to get back at this, but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to have some good things to talk about too.
Yes, definitely.
Except for that little tidbit right there about the loss.
I mean, come on now. You see what it is, man. Woo! Feel good, man. Feel good. We are in the off season. It is only June, but it's June 14th. We are well past the draft. We've gone through minicamp and OTAs. Training camp is right around the corner. Things are starting to formulate. We're starting to understand what's going on. Will, we're going to talk about what we've seen, but to this point, how do you feel, man? We're kind of looking all right.
Hey, we're winning the offseason, okay? That's what's happening right now.
This is what we do.
This is the hype season. This is the time to get excited about players and plays. And what do they call this time of year? They call it the Underwear Olympics. Yep. Because the big guys up front get all ticked off because it's the skill players that are just wearing shells that show out right now. They can't really show what they can do. But it's certainly there's a new vibe around town. I know we're going to get into a little bit, but I think that's what's the biggest change that people are seeing is there's a new vibe. There's a new practice tempo. There's a new loud ear.
Yes,
getting on people. There's a new man in charge, and he's not the head coach.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes this time very interesting to see, what can they put together now that they're not so they can move forward later.
Oh yeah. And I'm so excited. I'm hearing so many great things, conflicting things. Certain people don't like loud voices and yelling and everything. But for me, I was a high energy guy. So I love that. That got me pumped up. But not only from, what you're talking about with Eric Bieniemy, but there's a familiar voice that's been loud and yapping on the sidelines and getting the team amped up. Chase Young.
Oh yeah.
Back out there, loud, getting into it. And I, for one, am excited about that because when people have been asking me, and personally, I know you too, all off season, man, what's up with you guys and Chase Young, man? Are you going to trade him? Are you going to get rid of him? You know what I mean? Johnny D put up that post, top 5 landing spots for Chase. Hey, pump your brakes, people. There is something that Chase does, even when he was hurt, that is you can't write that on a stat sheet. It's that energy. Yes. It's that chemistry, that excitement that he brings, that accountability. That's been a big word I've been hearing a lot of, accountability. And he's one of those that, hey, you mess it up, he'll let you know quick. And him and Montez went back together. I'm excited to see what's going. Yeah, right. A lot of chatter.
They're talkers. They're very much talkers out there from what we've heard.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But look, Will, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we talk about that, obviously, there's the elephant in the room. There is the thing that we've been trying to get rid of. We heard the noise about there's a deal. The deal was accepted. Dan Snyder's potentially on his way out. But Will, a lot of fans do not understand the ownerships all the owners have to come together and they have to vet these new incoming owners. They have to see where the money's coming from. They have to make sure that these guys are going to be a viable option and that they don't have another, Dan Snyder too. So they do background checks and all that stuff. So where are we at with this whole thing?
Well, we had a major announcement yesterday. Did you see that?
Uh-huh.
The NFL has announced that there's going to be a meeting between July 20th and August 8th for all the owners to get together and vote on the sale of the Washington Commanders.
Come on.
Like the finish line is here.
I can see it.
It's crazy. And you and I say very even keeled about this process. We've sort of had that I'm excited, but outlook to it. What was it the other day, a couple weeks ago when it was announced in May that Snyder had agreed to an ownership? We responded to Andrew's post on NSD saying, I'll believe it when I see it. There's still a lot of time. And part of that is because of our past history. Because at this time, 25 years ago, 1999, Dan Snyder was a minority owner or minority bidder in the process. The bid with his partnership fell through, and Snyder came in and said, well, let me buy the team for everything. And he became the owner. So we've seen deals fall through is what I'm trying to say, but it looks to be like we're at the finish line, and we got here because from last week. So, we had that agreement in mid-May that the Snyders are agreeing to sell to the Harris Group. That we had the ownership meetings, and the ownership finance committee expressed some concerns about the bid that had been accepted. All right. But the concerns they were having was just to make sure, like you mentioned, having to vet 18 other people that are involved in this. This isn't like the Denver Broncos, where it was the owners of Walmart, where all their fortune is in Walmart, where they could easily look at the finances and say, yes, you've got $4 billion. Or it was David Tepper buying the Carolina Panthers mostly himself. Yes, you have the cash assets to purchase $2 billion of a franchise. This is a $6 billion purchase. The minority or majority owners, if someone's supposed to have at least 30% in cash. Yeah, 30% of $6 billion is a lot of money. One thing we got to remember, these guys aren't Scrooge McDuck, where they jump off the platform and swim in their money. All they would be doing is getting taxed on this. So they take their money and put them into investments, into assets. It's not cash on hand for them. And so it took a little bit of investigating by the NFL's finance committee. Now, they did mention there were some things in the bid they didn't like, and that they wanted Josh Harris to go back and look at it. But, majority, Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, Magic Johnson, there's one other guy from DC that's a big mogul. Those guys were all passing yes, we understand you've got the finances. It was kind of vetting through everybody. But Josh Harris was in New York last week. When we were talking about going on last week, I was wondering if we were going to get the headline during our show saying that the sale has been approved. Because he was meeting with the finance committee to try and revamp the offer. So now that that's happened, now that they've said, get ready, like they have said, we are at the finish line.
There we go.
We're getting there, man. We're there.
Man, it's not a minute too soon. We've been waiting for this. And you know what? Honestly, we're going to talk about OTAs. We're going to get into minicamp, things like that. But it is, and maybe, I don't know, maybe, Will, this is the same for you. It is kind of like I want to get excited about the guys. I want to get excited about what's going on. But I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, like, did we just get this done with? It's always kind of holding my kind of excitement in the bag. Like you were talking about, we've been even keeled because we've seen this type of stuff where it's like, oh, this one's going to get him out. No, he's still been able to get through. What do we call him? Teflon Dan. You know what I mean? He's been able to last. So I'm excited about what's going on, and we're going to discuss it, but I need this to be on and done with. I need it, let's move on. Finally, please.
We need the finality of it.
Yes.
For us to finally believe it. And our friend Jack, like, he needs the finality so he can start spending money on Fanatics. He refuses to right now, even with all the sales they've got going on. He's like, I'm not giving Snyder any more of my money. But you know who also needs the finality? Is the team. Yeah. Because Ron has started to come out a little bit and say, well, there's some things we want to do, but we're waiting on ownership. They haven't signed all their assistant coaches to their new deals because they're going to get new deals, more money. New ownership has to pay for it. They haven't extended Cam Curl because new ownership will have to pay for it. So there's some things they want to do that they're in a holding pattern right now. So we do need this to happen so we can move on, from the football side of things too.
Right. Kat, thank you for watching. Saying no worries here. Magic is the man.
He is.
He will bring the magic. Hey, bring that smile. Bring those rings, man. I'm all about it. I am all about it. Yeah. So this is huge. And you know what? While we're here, Will, the fans don't know. There's been a question that it's been lingering on your mind that you've wanted to ask? Do you want to wait till the official sale has happened, or would you like to address? Yeah, we can wait. All right.
We can wait.
So
we can wait.
We'll wait. And, since we said that we are kind of still holding our breath, we will definitely wait and see. But there's definitely some things that we want to, park on our new owner. Like, hey, there's certain things we think you need to do and do it immediately so that, you can get acclimated to DC, to the fan base, to us going forward, man.
Absolutely. So. Hey, it looks like we got a new person watching our show or chiming in here. So we got a Washington fan, LaTanya Green. So
hey.
I got this little question for LaTanya. If you're still on here, what are your thoughts on hearing that we might be done with Snyder here? We might finally be at the end of this. She's a Washington fan for life. Love that.
Let's go.
But yeah, no, I'm very excited to share with you what I would do as new owners of the Washington Commanders. But we will wait till that happens and I can share my wisdom.
Oh yes, wait till that day comes. But yes, definitely. Hey, patience is key. And to be quite honest with you, man, we got some things to talk about, and we're gonna do it in just a second. Yeah, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Washington Football Weekly. If you didn't know, if this is your first time here, we're glad that you are able to join us. And we're going to have a little fun real quick. You've all seen those little posts on Facebook and on Instagram that, have certain tiers with like a $sign next to it. And they say, hey, pick your team. Who do you think? Mm-hmm. We're going to do that for Washington. Right, got it right here. You see, there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but we're gonna go by position. Mm-hmm. So, and we're gonna start off, Will, with quarterback. Man, we got some great ones here. Will, what are you thinking, man? Where would you go at QB?
Yeah, all right. To build my $15 squad here, you have to go. This one you actually have to spend some money on because 3, 2, and 1 is not very good. So I'm going with my $5 guy. I'm going Sonny Jurgensen.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Don't be fooled. You see the hat. I love Tar Heels, but I'm not when you have these two legends on top. And love Brunell. Love what he brings, and don't even get me started on Sexy Rexy. But I'm going actually with the $4 spot here. I'm going Sammy Ball, man. I just think he's one of those slinging Sammy that could potentially play in any era. So I love that. I love where he's going. What are we doing next for running back, man? What are you thinking? I think we different on this one.
We do. So I'm going with the $3 Stephen Davis. All right.
Okay.
Because Stephen Davis is one of those players, like one of the big, like what ifs guys that we let go away. I think if Stephen Davis had played his entire career in Washington, we would probably be talking about him as the greatest running back in Redskins history, above Riggins, especially with the numbers, because he was doing well under Norv Turner. Okay, so we had him for 3-4 years. He had a good season under Steve Spurrier, but he was set up to be our bell cow. He was set up with Marty. Him and Marty would have rode together for a while. So he did well in Spurrier's first year, and then Spurrier got rid of him. But then he would have been perfect for Joe Gibbs' offense as well. Yeah. He was set up for that, that ground and pound. He was with us for 3-4 seasons of doing real well. Then he went to Carolina for another 3-4 seasons. So out of his, 8 or 9 seasons in the league where he was really, a starter, if we could have had him the whole time, I really think we would have had a perennial Pro Bowler, perennial All-Pro. And he just, we cut him or let him go as a free agent when we shouldn't have. And so his numbers in Washington are as high as they could have been.
Right. And look, we saw what he did. Where did he go? He went to Carolina, helped him to get to a Super Bowl, Yeah, we saw what he was able to do after leaving Washington. So I love that pick. I absolutely love it. But I don't deal in wishes because if wishes were fishes, we ain't even going down that road. I'm going with, this is where I'm taking my $5. I'm going with, give me that diesel. Whoop, that diesel. Give me some John Riggins. Have to 4th and 1, 70 chip, man, for the championship. Love this guy. Mm-hmm. He's a bruiser. He one of the last real true fullbacks when fullbacks were dominant. He's the last of a dying breed. I know you got a couple guys now that are fullbacks, but Riggo was one of those guys this was back when fullbacks were more, they were getting more notoriety than the actual tailback. The tailback was just secondary. He could take over a game. You can give it to him legitimately 20, 30, almost 40 times a game, and he would still carry the load, hit just as hard the first time as he did the last time. So, yeah, that's where I'm going. Next, wide receiver. Will, this is somewhere that kind of had me going back and forth. Where do you think you're going to do at wide receiver?
I'm dipping down to the $1 range, Jamison Crowder. I think he is poorly marked there. I would think that maybe, I guess he didn't play as long in DC as Randall L. maybe had, but Jamison Crowder's best years were when he was in DC. Now, part of it had to do with the offense. Jay Gruden's offense could utilize 3 wide receivers and featured the slot, which is what he does really well. And then when he went to the Jets and went to the Bills, I just don't think those offenses had enough use of additional weapons. And so, we made the mistake of letting him go. He made the mistake of going elsewhere and getting a little bit more money. I think he could have had a continuance of his career here in DC had they come together. But we made a lot of mistakes with those wide receivers, letting Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon, and Jamison Crowder go in 2 consecutive years, and then we did a bad job of replacing them. So, but this is just another guy where 2 times in a row, my examples where he left and the grass, we could have done more if he had stayed here.
No, absolutely. Mine is going to be the $2. I'm going Randall L. Another one of the guys you said. He was so versatile. He was so huge with us. We saw what he did when he left and went to the Steelers. Was able to dominate out there and get himself a Super Bowl. But I thought was so dynamic. But it goes exactly like what you were saying. We got a little bit out of him, but we definitely didn't get as much as the Pittsburgh did. The gadget plays and things they were able to do with their offense. So I love Randall L, and I think I definitely have to take him on this one.
Yep.
What is your next position? Because there is, what do we have? Defense?
Pass rusher. Yeah. Defensive lineman or linebacker. So this surprised me. This really surprised me because I loved this guy when he was here. I've been critical of this guy ever since he left and since he was around. I picked LeVar Arrington.
Yeah.
All right. And so, LeVar was one of those guys where he made, he never lived up to the number 2 overall pick Penn State hype that he had, but he was a good player with us, and he made flashes of being a great player at times. And overall, I'd say he had a good career in DC, but he never became that dominant player. However, my mind changed this past week when I was listening on the Kevin Sheehan Show podcast. Fred Smoot said, had LeVar Arrington played in a 3-4, he would have been a Hall of Fame player. And I started thinking back to that one year when we had Marvin Lewis in Steve Spurrier's first year, and he played LeVar as a defensive end hybrid outside linebacker, and he had about 10 or 11 sacks. And so I was like, you know what? Fred might be right that he was just played out of position, and being a stand-up linebacker, read and react was not the position for him, but that's what he played here. He was good under Marty, with Marty's brother Kurt running it. He was good with Marvin Lewis. And then he kind of had a falling out with Greg Williams, and they had him and Joe Gibbs had a much more disciplined defense. And LeVar wanted to freelance. LeVar wanted to go get the quarterback. And so that didn't jive. And I think as a result, LeVar was really upset that he never had, lived up to his potential, and has been bitter with DC ever since. And so I've been tired of hearing him on local radio when he did it. I got tired of when he went out to LA and kept bashing the team. So in that sense, but I'm going to run a 3-4 defense with LeVar on my team. So I'm going to make him the dominant linebacker he could have been.
Do the way that we should have done it in Washington. Yeah. But when we go pass rush, man, I need a dominant force. And look, for the last couple of years, it has been kind of frustrating. And we talked and just lived off the phrase bend but don't break. But there has been one force in that defense over the last couple of years that has been absolutely a dominant force, has been a lone bright spot for us outside of our punter. This guy has been the guy, and at pass rush, I mean, he's not at a maybe more familiar pass rush position. He's not on the edge. He comes from the middle. I got to go Jonathan Allen with a $3 spot here. I mean, look, we paid him and we did it early, and it was perfect that we did. He opens up the lane. He requires so much attention up the middle and pushes that pocket that those guys on the edge, it doesn't necessarily have to be Chase or Montez. We could have Bradley Smith, James Smith Williams.
Mm-hmm.
We can have those guys come around the edge and name, new guys just come on in. He is a force. He's a leader. I love him. I have to have him right there in the middle of my defense. So
yeah, he's so good. The leader part too is a huge step up there.
Oh yeah. So, and last but not least, secondary?
Secondary, you go with this one.
I am going. Who is that? I'm not doing Reed Dowdy. Who's the guy in the middle?
Cam Curl.
Cam on the bottom, on the one?
Oh, the one? That's Reed Dowdy.
No, the middle. I gotta look it on. Give me a second.
It goes Green, Taylor, Curl, Carlos Rogers, and Reed Dowdy. How much money do you have to spend? You only get to spend $15.
I know, and I did Sammy Ball at 4, Rigo at 5.
Okay, 9.
Okay. Jonathan Allen at 3.
Okay.
I did Randall L at 2, so then I have to do
Reed Dowdy.
Dag, my secondary. Oh my God. Well, I can't explain this one.
When we talked last time, you picked Crowder too.
Yeah, but I also picked like multiple wide receivers in that one. I didn't do it just by the line. Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. I try to stick with, just down the line. So So mine is Sammy Ball. I got John Riggins at back, Sammy Ball at QB, Jonathan Allen at pass rush, wide receivers Randall L, and my safety is Reed Dowdy.
Oh, you don't like interceptions and plays, do you?
No,
you just like tackles out there, right? No, but he's not going to get beat deep.
Exactly. There we go. My effort guy. Oh my God. Who do you have? Who's your safety guy?
This was kind of easy for me. I went Sean Taylor. So actually, what I've kind of seen here, my big theme is like what could have been between Stephen Davis and LeVar and now Sean Taylor. Like I'm all about like what could have been, but obviously in his time, I think for Sean, it was the fact that he could play multiple positions. I mean, he was kind of almost positionless for us out there, and he made just a huge impact. And he was only scratching the surface of what he could have done. So while I looked very hard at Darrell Green, it was like Sean Taylor might have, had he played here, like eclipsed Darrell Green in like all-time greatest Redskins. So
right. Yeah, love Darrell Green, and no, definitely would not minimize, everything that he brought to us. But even now, if you ask the random, or just average Washington fan who they remember more, Sean Taylor is going to be the name that comes up.
It is. It is. Yeah. Put that clip back up because I actually had a chance to talk with Jack. He said he picked the entire $3 line, and I wrote back. I said, you can mix and match, and then I went, and he like shot back quickly, like, I know. I was like, actually, that $3 line's not bad.
Not bad.
No.
Yeah.
Because Mark Brunell, by the end of his, that year, his arm was kind of shot, but he did, he did get us some wins. And if you took Jacksonville Jaguars, Mark Brunell, then absolutely.
Exactly. And then you give him a defense, a young defense that's ready to go. A solid receiver in McLaurin, a nice little running game. Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Johnny Dean said he said Green, Ball, Portis, Crowder, and who else? Who's your defense? We have somebody that is not too thrilled with the list of quarterbacks. Catherine says, "Where is Cousins?" they don't have a 50 Cent. Okay, Kat. So
you got Rex Grossman on there. At least you could. I mean, if Kirk Cousins was the $3 one, I'd probably pick him.
I could have finagled. I could have worked around it.
Funny.
Yeah, buddy. So that's where we go. Let us know where you guys stand and what you guys are thinking, man. But what we do, man. We got to keep this thing moving right along.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is. Yeah, buddy. You got all these transitions and videos that I made, and I haven't used them in a while. I just had to dust the bad boys off, man. But look, hey, Will, man, hey, it hasn't been necessarily football, the actual fall where the games count and everything. You called it, what do they call it? The
Underwear Olympics.
Right, the Underwear Olympics. So hey, OTAs, we've seen it, mini camp, it's been here, it's stuff, it's great for the fans. What are our thoughts after this? Where do we stand right now? What are you thinking?
It's one of those things where you don't want to, you want to stay even keel. You don't want to get too excited about some of the guys that are flashing. You don't want to necessarily start harping on guys that are struggling, because this is the time for them to work things out. I love the video that JJ Watt put out. He was basically said, hey, social media, y'all got chill. Like if OTAs and minicamp and practice, those are the times to work out new pass rush drills, new techniques, new footwork. He's like, and if it doesn't work then to not do it in a game. But let's not be killing guys for stuff's not working in practice right now.
Right. Right.
And that's kind of what OTAs is about. One of the things that they talked about OTAs and minicamp is they're going to let the plays play out. You're not allowed to hit the quarterback. And so they want all the plays to happen, even if, that should have been a sack, because they want to know, what part of that play is taking too long to develop? Is this something we can do, or what do we need to do about our protection to make sure this play works? Or just essentially just working out the kinks to kind of see, of their playbook, what are they going to be able to be used, right now? And so as a result of that, it's a lot of 7-on-7s. It's a lot of, there's some 11-on-11s, but they're not hitting real hard. So there's chances for the offense to get off a little bit easier. Right. The defense usually schematically is a little bit more advanced because the offense is learning new things, especially we've got a new offensive coordinator. So the offense should look, a little bit behind. We've got a new guy at quarterback, two new guys at quarterback, so it's kind of just one of those things where, like, overall, like, don't get too high, don't get too down on players that are flashing or people that are struggling out there.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, this is the time where we fix all of the things that we need to work on. One of the things, obviously, I've been watching my guy Sam Howell, and one of the things he came in with was talking about, his footwork. He wanted to get his footwork. There's a lot. There's one of the times, I know you heard the story where, actually, matter of fact, you talked about it, where he had like a 3-step drop, and, Chris Paul got blown up, and then, Sam Howell got sacked, where if he had done a 5-step drop, doing what he was supposed to do, that might have actually given him an opportunity to throw the ball. So, those are the little things, the attention to detail. And he's one of the guys, one of the things Sam Howell said is that he loves to get pushed. So having that high energy, having Eric Bieniemy push, but it's still be a teacher and teach him, what you need to do, how you need to go about this, and that, and holding them accountable to things. That's something that I love to see. I love that is something that we're talking about now, instead of off the field things, accusations of this, and that, and even just owner nonsense. We're talking football, and that's something that I think has been lost here in Washington for a couple years.
It's a welcome change to, even if they're not wearing pads, even if they're not hitting, it's the fact that, like you said, they're running routes. There's 11-on-11. There's coaches yelling at each other. There's players yelling at each other, getting competitive. It's so much nicer to be talking about this.
Yes. Absolutely. So look, who stood out to you? Who stood out to you? I talked about the quarterback. Definitely the defense. Obviously they always amp it up, but there's certain positions. Who do you think caught your eye, or who have you been hearing about?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with our 2 rookies. Okay, Emmanuel Forbes and Quan Martin.
Yes.
We've heard that they've been all over the place, making it havoc on these wide receivers. They're always around the ball. Their hands are always around the ball when it's coming in there, making it tougher to catch it. So much so that when they cut Cam Dantzler, remember one of our first signings before free agents started, we signed a guy that we thought was going to be the 4th corner from Minnesota. Right. He's played for 3-4 years in the league. They've already cut him because they basically saw, it sounds like Quan Martin's going to be starting off as basically a corner in that slot role. And so they've got their 4 DBs between Kendall Fuller, St. Juice. We've got and then the first and second round picks are going to be our starting corners, or are the corners that see the field the most, I should say.
Right.
So that's been really good, because there was some concerns about Forbes and how big he was. And there was we drafted a safety in the second round.
Right.
But they're kind of showing basically, hey, they knew this is what they wanted to improve to make the defense better. And it's instantly working. They're tipping passes. They're having great coverage. The other thing I saw is they're allowing Percy Butler to just focus on playing as a deep safety right now, and not playing the Buffalo nickel, then playing deep safety, then playing strong safety. And so he's kind of just focusing on being a safety, to the point where, what if he's able to make that jump that Derek Forrest did in year 2 that came out of nowhere from us, So it really does seem like they basically, the team has said, hey, we know what we got on the front, the defensive front. We know we need to patch up this defensive back. And they went out and attacked in the offseason. And it's showing to be paying dividends right now, that's exciting.
Oh yeah. I've heard nothing but great things about Emmanuel Forbes and Quan Martin. Man, I've heard Quan Martin could be a sleeper, but Emmanuel Forbes I heard is to be as advertised. Exactly what we expected coming out. But for me, I love that, and I kind of focused on kind of some of the pieces that we've had, and some of the guys that were hurt. Last year, obviously, the biggest issues was Logan Thomas trying to come back and Chase Young trying to come back. Those are 2 guys that I really was interested to see. Everybody made the big fuss when Chase didn't come in the first days. And, look, it's voluntary. At the end of the day, it's voluntary. He's here when it matters. When those cameras come on, he'll be here. He showed up, and I love the energy. I love what it looks like. But more importantly, I love that he looks like he feels comfortable. He looks like he's kind of getting back to kind of pushing off, getting back to, playing the way he was. Let's hope. I mean, obviously, like we said, underwear Olympics. So how much can you really take from this? But him being on the field is a lot more than we got most of last year. So, I will get a little bit excited about that. But then I flip it over to Logan Thomas. There was real questions after his kind of comeback last year. Obviously, he wasn't able to do what we kind of expected from him from when he was healthy a couple years before. And that's somebody that I know I personally definitely looked at like, he's kind of expendable. But what I've been hearing is that he's back. He looks healthier on legs, and they're expecting him to potentially return to what he was back when with Alex Smith, where he was sitting there making those, around the back one-handed catches to, help us beat Pittsburgh that year. They were undefeated. So I'm here for that. We locked him down when we needed to as far as paying him, and I'm here for getting him back on that field and being more than just a playmaker, but a leader to those other guys, to the Bates, to Cole Turner, Hodges, these guys coming up. When we break it down, and we talked about this last year, and it didn't come to fruition, but we still have a big tight end room, and we have a bunch of guys that can play. But I think one of the things that we did lack last year, because they were all very young, is that true leader, because Logan was still trying to get his feet back under him. I think having this off season and overall health, that was huge. So I'm excited to see him back and healthy.
You said it so well. That was kind of the OTA session. That was kind of one of the first glimpses that I heard a lot from the reporters, is basically they said, you know what, he probably rushed it last year. And came back too soon and wasn't the same player that he was. And now you're seeing vintage Logan Thomas. And there's a connection there between him and Sam. Sam likes throwing it to him. And we talked about, well, who's going to be Travis Kelce? And I brought up the point of saying, hey, Bieniemy may not need a Kelce. That may not be what he's looking to do. But as a matter of fact, Sam Howell's very much started to have a lot of trust there, and throwing the ball over the middle, which they said that of all the throws Sam has had trouble with is throwing over the middle and just, knowing, hey, I can rip it and throw it there. My guy will be there. Yeah. Having that connection with Logan Thomas has been his safety valve. But also to that, there's been a couple other guys in that same room that have been impressing, that did this the same time last year. Cole Turner, Curtis Hodges. This is the time we learned about them. We had an idea about Cole Turner, but then Curtis Hodges came out of nowhere, and all the reporters were like, this dude's 6'8". He's tall. He's athletic. This dude can play. He's a favorite of Carson Wentz. He's a favorite of the quarterbacks. And then he didn't do anything last year. But we're seeing it again from Cole Turner and from Curtis Hodges. There's a lot of praise coming from that tight end room. I know there was real disappointment when Armani Rogers got hurt and is out for the season with the torn Achilles. But there's also a recognition of, well, we do have some guys behind him who can play, and they're highlighting it right now. So that's been kind of good to hear again. But I also want to see it when the games matter.
Exactly. We're used to hearing great things at this time of the year, ladies and gentlemen.
From Cole Turner, yeah.
Right. Yeah, forgive us if we pump our brakes, but definitely it is good to hear. This is, these guys are on track. They're, definitely kind of getting towards getting ready for the season, and I'm really, really excited about that. Towards mini camp.
I got one more.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And it goes in towards mini camp too.
Okay.
But by all means, we got to talk about the star of OTAs. And he's not a player. He's the offensive coordinator.
EB? Yeah.
What have you heard about him?
Like I said before, there's one word, is something that I have always done when I was coaching: accountability. You are holding everybody accountable. I love guys that are riled up, fired up, ready to go. And nobody, like I said before he came here, nobody is too high and nobody is too low to catch the voice or the wrath of EB. But it's because he knows how it works. He knows what it is that you need to do. And look, he's been there before. You know what I mean? This is what we want. One of my favorite things that I think we've heard, and I know you've heard this one, there was one time early in OTAs that they were down towards the end zone, and Sam Howell, throws, an interception. And I think it was Quan Martin or Forbes. One of them takes off and is running downfield, and Sam Howell just kind of chills there. And EB says, "You threw it, go get it." And forcing it, building that kind of into him, saying, like, hey, the mistake, whatever, you got to keep playing. This stuff doesn't stop. Nobody's going to sit here and cry for you and pat you on the back. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they're going to keep playing, and you have to hold yourself to that standard. And I've heard from Sam that he said he likes that. He wants to be held to that. He wants to be pushed and, kind of under the thumb and keep after it. So I'm loving that. And you're absolutely right. We have to talk about him because let's be honest, Will, we were a little skeptical. There was everybody saying, hey, he's gone on all these different interviews. He hasn't been hired. What's really going on? He didn't call plays in Kansas City. But this man is a wealth of knowledge, man, Will. And he's bringing a whole new culture to Washington. And I'm here for it, man.
You said it when you said accountability and changing the culture. Ron has really turned over the entire offense to him, but he turned over the entire schedule to him. EB changed everything up to say, listen, we're gonna go over film it in first thing in the morning, then we're gonna go out onto the field. And he's set that up for training camp too. And Ron's pretty much said, okay, if you want to do it, you do it. And Jack Del Rio's just got to go with it, because it's he's allowed EB to be, the assistant head coach, as Ab mentioned. He wasn't just hired to be an offensive coordinator. He's allowing him to kind of run this team, and accountability and making people practice fast is part of that. He was really into that in minicamp, so we'll get to that. But like you mentioned, I love that Sam Howell reference. I loved when we saw that, saying how he was like, play's not over. Why are you done? Right. The other one is he got on Robinson about missing a block. Yes. And he basically said, when you missed that block, you prevented us from scoring a touchdown because that play needed to be made. And it reminded me of the difference between him and Scott Turner. And one of the things we always talked about, it we would listen to on the post-game pods and stuff is how the offense was always so close to getting a big play. Remember that fourth down play that everyone blew up because it was the pitch to Jonathan Williams? And then we found out, well, Terry didn't make this block and this didn't happen. It's like we were always having little plays that, had the little play been done, could have been larger. They talked about that a lot with screens where, oh, well, if that offensive lineman had just had one more step, he would have gotten it. EB recognizes that, and he's holding him accountable right now.
Absolutely.
To say, hey, B-Rob, by you missing that, my guy was open, but you prevented us from scoring. You've got to make that play. You have to do your part in the greater picture. And holding these guys accountable and pointing out their mistakes immediately and emphatically so that everyone kind of sees it.
Yeah.
I think we've had too much of a players culture around here in DC. And Ron, I thought Ron would bring more accountability and discipline than he has, but he's been kind of laid back as a coach. Yeah, very relaxed. But EB's like, he's in their face. When they make a mistake, he's going to let them know. And I can only think that's going to translate on Sundays come fall.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the best things I've heard, and then we'll move on from this. With EB is out there, and if they run it like you're saying, the guy misses a block, or there was one where John, ran the wrong route. They bring him back, and they run it again, and it's so much attention to detail. That is what we need, because it's exactly what you said. We were just off a little bit. You go 2 or 3 of those games, that last, drive in Tennessee, we could very easily win that game. There's that Dallas game we talked about, the penalties. If we would have had any kind of offense in the first Philly game, we played decent, but we've hurt ourselves. So these things where he is drilling it, like you need to do it so much so that it's secondary. You don't even think about it. It's just second nature. And you need to get that and get these guys on board. And I love it. Everybody's kind of woken up. Brian Robinson Jr. was saying he loves that, the fact that his coach was a running back. You know what I mean? He knows what I'm looking at. He knows about the blocking. And your point hit right on the head, where he's kind of like, look, that is integral to the play. If you don't do your job, the whole play is done. You know what I mean? You can't take a play off. So, and that's what we need, and I love that.
Well, and you know what I think I love about it so much is it comes from a place of, y'all, we just won a championship doing it this way.
Right.
Are you going to question my methods right now?
Yeah.
But also, we've had nothing but mediocrity here. We had it with Ron. We had it with Jay. It's like you got to change things up to your results if you're going to get anything to change for the better. So you got to get on these guys about, pushing. It's like this should be the standard. Like you just said, okay, so you ran the wrong route and we're just going to move on to the next play. No, do it right. You're professionals. Like, come on.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So yeah, holding them accountable, man. And hold them to that highest level. That's what we want. If we want to be what the Chiefs are, that's the closest thing to perfection in the league right now. If that's what we want to be, well, shoot, that's what we got to strive for. That you can't make those mistakes. And if you do, you need to, hold yourself accountable, learn from it, and move on. Mm-hmm. So let's go right into minicamp then. We're starting to nail it down. We're starting to really kind of come out and see what we have, who's here. The media day was good. All that stuff was great. Will, there's a number of interesting things that we're taking a look at here, another number of positions. I know we're going to talk about that quarterback in a little bit.
Right.
But what are you thinking, man? What are your thoughts?
Okay. So the first thing kind of sticking to on offense, one guy that they said has really stood out has been a guy that we were kind of written off. We've kind of said, this will be his last year and we drafted his replacement last year and we're going to move on from him. And that's Antonio Gibson. Yeah. And they were talking about how good of a minicamp he's had because guess what? We've got a coordinator who's using him for his strengths as a weapon. We talked about this last year, like, with B-Rob, we could have 2 running back tandems and move him out, into the slot and let him, utilize his speed and then wide receiver skills. Well, Bieniemy's doing it finally. Yeah. Yep. Not only that, Bieniemy's using him in the screen game. He's big on the screen game. They said Gibson took one 80 yards, took one to the house. They had it perfectly blocked off, and he took it all the way. And they're like, it wasn't even one of those running backs just finishing the play and running all the way. He legitimately had a touchdown based on the play that they drew up. The other thing that was about incorporating Antonio Gibson is we are utilizing a lot of short, quick passes.
Yes.
For our quarterback. He's basically, and he's kind of taking some of that from Kansas City, where it's like Scott Turner was a little bit more Air Coryell, go downfield, and Bieniemy's bringing in the West Coast, which is timing based. It's quick. It's get the ball out, and that's only going to make and get the ball into your playmakers' hands, like an Antonio Gibson, like a Jahan Dotson, in space, like a Terry McLaurin. Give them a ball and let them go with it. That's also going to help out a really young quarterback who doesn't have the time to read a defense, but knows where he needs to go with the ball quickly and can do it.
Oh yeah, man. Wow. Yeah, it's exciting to see. And that's one of the things that I was very interested to see, because we all talked about, hey, Scott Turner's gone, and the implementation of EB's offense and how long was that going to take for us to adjust and get going. And I'm loving to see these reports where guys are flourishing and really kind of accepting that challenge. For me, man, I want to focus on one of the spots that we've had a lot of issues. You mentioned it earlier when talking about our rookies that we've got, and that's definitely helped to supplement that defense. But man, that secondary has been looking good. You know what I mean? We know the wide receivers we have, and all I've been hearing is, hey, St. Juice was, toe-to-toe with, McLaurin. You know what I mean? What's it called? Quan Martin was in there getting Jahan Dotson. Like, these corners and secondary are playing up, and they are accepting the challenge, man. And that is something that we focused on. One of the things that we did actually address in the draft early, and that is, it looks like, obviously, Underwear Olympics, but it looks like these guys are buying into it. They're working out. You got Fuller out there, a healthy St. Juice, like I mentioned earlier. These guys, this back end, if we could have it where we're having a no-fly zone in that back end, that will totally eliminate any worry of that linebacker hole that we still have not addressed. You know what I mean? Because I have full confidence in if we keep a healthy D-line, I have full confidence in that D-line to sit there and create enough havoc. This secondary, we have the pieces now. Getting Emmanuel Forbes, getting Quan Martin, to have guys that are taking over games, not just stopping and deflecting and stuff. I mean, turnovers, interceptions, forced fumbles, recoveries. This is what we've needed. And this is what's going to take us from a bend but don't break defense to one of the more feared defenses in the NFC. You know what I mean? And so that I'm loving that we really narrowed in and focused on that. And they're showing up and shining. Now, look, we've been excited about our secondary for the last couple of years. Cameron Curl, you know what I mean? Benjamin St. Juice. But we've also had to sit here and mourn their injuries the last couple of years, and not how many games are we going to get, and are they going to get in here? So we're glad they're doing great, but we need to see them get to and through the season. So there we go. I'm loving it though, but that's someplace where I was really paying attention to, seeing that we did hit that in the draft and in the offseason, and that, like you mentioned, Cam Dantzler, we moved on from him. But it goes to kind of what we've been talking about with last year, them firing Sam Mills III and now doing this. We are kind of being more deliberate. This is what we're doing. We're making that move and moving. Franchise tag on the first day that we franchise tagged Deron Payne and then paid him a week or so later. We're being more deliberate, and we're changing the culture and the whole direction of this franchise. And I love that, but more importantly, I love what our defense is doing.
So let me ask you this, because I saw this in the comment section by Johnny Dean. Hearing that Quan Martin is playing very well, have you gotten over not getting Cody Mock on your team, Sean?
I'm not reading that comment. I saw the mock thing. So no, I've not gotten over it. No, okay? This man can play all 5 positions on the line, okay? He will take out at least 2 of those linemen in my 53-man mock that we'll do later this fall, okay? Yep. Cody was my guy.
Yes,
he was a hog.
You were emotional. Oh. So let me though segue very well to that. That ended up working out perfectly, because one of the things I heard and saw from minicamp that surprised the living daylights out of me is hearing that Sadiq Charles is sort of entrenched right now as the starting left guard. He has Chris Paul. It's Sadiq Charles, and then space between. Then there's Chris Paul. So what a great situation would it be for us to have that starting left guard already on the line, on the team here, someone that we can groove, a young guy, someone who's been with us for a couple of years. The guy who drafted him, Kyle Smith, who's now in Atlanta, was very high on him. We thought he was going to be our left tackle of the future, and he's been getting hurt. And he has finally said, his weight's been up and now it's a little bit down. It was lower last year. He's now at like 325. He said he feels he's at a good weight where he can do what he wants to do, to be athletic, but not get pushed around. But he's enjoying being at left guard. And he's at one position. He's focusing on it. He says he's healthy finally for the first time in a couple of years. And he's winning the position right now. And, just like a couple of years ago when we put in an unknown, a guy who was a bust as a first-round pick tackle named Eric Flowers at left guard, and we went, oh, my gosh, he's our starting guard. What are we doing? And he was phenomenal there. Right. What if they have something there, too, that they've kind of known for a while? It's just like, all right, now he can focus on, because, again, he's cheap, and the offensive line is going to be key for Sam's development and just for the overall offensive play. But that is really encouraging to hear that Charles has taken the bull by the horns and he ain't letting go.
And we need that. We absolutely need that. Yeah, that's definitely something good, because I was wondering where we were going to get that, because we talked about that after the draft, that potentially being a hold at guard position. But hey, let's go. But look, one of the other places, we mentioned it before, and you guys know my stance on this. Sam Howell.
Wait, I got a couple things in minicamp. I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good,
one of my favorite things from minicamp. This is my absolute favorite. So it's not even about a position player doing well. We talked a little bit about Chase Young and Montez talking, but at one point the offenses started humming, and they got a couple big plays, and they got a touchdown. And our guy, Jonathan Allen, got competitive.
What?
He got pissed. He turns and he started yelling, y'all, we ain't rushing you. There's no pads out here. You're not getting our best out of here. Don't be getting happy over this, right? He got pissed off that the offense was scoring in minicamp, in practice in June.
Yes.
Like, that's just why I love that dude, because he's so competitive out there that even when that's happening, he also was like, no, this ain't right. This isn't real. This isn't real at all. I'm not going to let you guys get away with this. I love that from him.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think there was another one where one of the defensive guys there was like, they scored or something, and he was like, yeah, it was a holding. Like, don't even start. We know, like, if they would have actually called it, it would have been a holding. So enjoy it while you have it. Our offense and our defense, I mean, I want them going back and forth. I want them challenging. I want our defense to be just so nasty that's if we're dealing with that at practice, we're not worried about who we're facing on Sunday. You know what I mean? Because our D is that hungry. So I'm all for it, man.
Right. It's like those times when they're talking about the old teams from the U in the early 2000s and Southern Cal and probably what he's used to at Alabama, knowing that, hey, that guy behind me is going to be the next starter here. And so they just went at, like they said at Alabama, practices were more difficult than games because they had studs behind them. It's like that. If you can get something like that, I mean, that's the greatest situation out there.
I mean, but look, think about first team practice in 91, in the 91 year. Think about the Hogs going up against the Charles Manns,
Wilbur Marshalls.
You know what I mean? Come on now. Daryl Green going against Art Monk or Gary Clark. You know what I mean? Like that. That is what I mean. Like iron sharpening iron. Your best versus my best, and you might get one over on me, and I'm going to get one over on you. But we're going to keep pushing it. And that's where I think, look, the one thing that I think is so underrated about and overlooked about our team is that we have a wealth of talent. Yeah, we might not have the solidified quarterback. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out the pieces on the O-line, but we have one of the top tier wide receiver cores. We have solid running backs. Our D-line, when healthy, it has the potential to be one of the top D-lines top 5, top 10 in the league, in my opinion. Bro, we have the talent. We just need that direction to put it together. And I think this is where we see it, and we're seeing through the coaching that it's looking good. It's looking good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah. You got anything else on
that was it. Yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, but let's go right. Let's stay here and talk about that. And ask that question: is there quarterback competition in Washington, and should there be? And Will, I'm going to start, man. And I absolutely think there should be. I absolutely think that you should sit there and you should line the sticks around Sam Howell, and you should light that fire and let him start to sweat. Because honestly, I feel like you can't just, we talked about the relaxed nature and the passive nature, and this is the NFL, okay? You once were a high draft spot, and the next year you went down to 5th. You see how quickly they pass on, how much they love you and how it moves on. Now you actually got on the team. You're actually getting yourself an opportunity. Earn it, okay? Whoever you get, this guy is a vet. This guy is a Super Bowl champion, Jacoby Brissett. Sam Howell, this is his opportunity to earn that. He's getting his chance to run with the ones. He's getting all of the heat and all of, the attention from Eric Bieniemy. Boom. Hey, you're in the prime spot. This is the opportunity for you to take over. And on the flip side, Jacoby Brissett, we know what he brings to the table. We still have to talk. He has to, learn the offense, and we'll see how that works throughout the season. But you can't go wrong with having that kind of a good backup. Somebody that has proved just last year how he could come into a dysfunctional situation and make some sense out of it. I mean, he had that Cleveland Brown team looking respectable towards the middle of the year, waiting for Deshaun Watson to come back. So I want a competition, and be quite honest with you, I know Nick's talked about it. If Jacoby Brissett gets the start and the coaches feel that he is more amped to run the offense, hey, hi-ho silver, let's go. You know what I mean? I love my guy. I love Sam. But if Sam ain't that, then we just might not be that. And I'm going to be extra hard because Diami did that to me. Sam, you can thank your boy Diami, okay? Because I was ready to crown him, okay? And I was wrong. Well, what do you think? Is there a competition, or should there be?
I think there will be a competition. I don't think that OTAs and minicamp is where it needs to happen. No. Sam should be getting as many reps as he can with the ones right now, because they're not competing in June. But this is his time to learn and to make mistakes. They talked about how he was up and down. Some throws he was, fantastic on, that they're like top 5, top 10 throws and shows the ability. And then he would, throw a pick or, be unsure of himself and stuff. It's like, but this is the time for him to make these mistakes because there's no pressure right now in it. You need to be coached up into this stuff. So make your mistakes so they can find out where it's happening. And Jacoby doesn't need to be out there right now in minicamp. But yeah, come training camp, there should be a competition because Ron and this offensive staff could be gone at the end of the year. We're about to have new ownerships. They're kind of going for their job too. But so is Bieniemy. I mean, Bieniemy's going to come from Kansas City. This is your first chance. You got to come out of the gate swinging with an offense working. So people will go, oh, man, look at all the people who passed on this guy. So there should be a competition. I say all that to say it's also Sam Howell's job to lose. All right. I don't think this is going to be a 50-50 competition. I would bet the highest I'd go right now is maybe 70-30 when it comes to the reps. They want Sam to win the job because it makes them look good by saying we turned over the reins to a 5th round pick. That, and if he loses the job, then it's almost like you got to look at them and say the best you did is go out and pay for a backup quarterback because you thought this guy was going to be it and he wasn't. That's a bad look. If Jacoby wins it. So it's up to Sam Howell to win this. I think they're setting him up to go for it. But I also think, the odds are a little bit further in his favor too. Right. Because it makes everyone look good if come week 1, Sam Howell is the starting quarterback for the team. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And look, since last year, everybody's been looking now for that Brock Purdy. The guy. Oh, is my 5th round? Is my 6th round? Bailey Zappi started for the Patriots last year, and he got picked right before Sam Howell. You know what I mean? So everybody is looking for that. And yeah, you're right. The scales are a little bit tipped. And to your point, if he doesn't cut it, then you really might need to say, hey, Sam, all right, man, just get ready, get comfortable with the clipboard, man, because You know what I mean? So it's something that now going into training camp. Now we're starting to really button up the chin strap. Now things are starting to be more definitive. You know, we're going to be more deliberate with the direction that we're going. Time to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and right now, and if Jacoby is nipping on your heels, good. You need to turn it up. You ain't doing something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready. I'm loving it. I'm ready. I'm excited about it, Will. I'm excited. We're coming close to the time, Will.
Well, and we haven't had a quarterback competition in years here. You know, when they brought in, you know, when Ron came in as the new coach, he had to let Dwayne show what he can do. Then he went out and signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. Then they traded for Carson Wentz. So we haven't had a competition like this in a while. And that only brings a little bit more excitement to training camp. Well, yes, it can be really, really, you know, comfortable to say you've got your starting quarterback entrenched, but this also can bring a little bit more juice to the practice when there's competition out there. So that's only going to make things, as we've already been kind of talking about it, a little bit more fierce out there.
Oh, yeah. Johnny said not everybody
oh man, I love that. I say it all the time about come draft season, about people want to let's draft and develop a guy in the third round. Okay. Everyone wants to do that. If everyone wanted to do it, they all would. It doesn't happen. So I'm with you, Johnny. That's my thing every spring.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we shall see. Hey, look, training camp is here. We're right around the corner. The season, we're right here, man. We are right here. We're excited. So we are you and I are gonna wait a little bit till training camp starts.
Yeah,
right?
We got about 6 weeks off, just like they do. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Unless there's groundbreaking news, you know, we may enjoy our summer a little bit here too.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. If there is that the sale, if any information comes out about the sale, we'll definitely do something impromptu.
Chase Young trade, which seems to be happening. Fanatics was docking everything last night. You could get a jersey for $40 on Chase Young. I'm like, what? Why is this $80 off? What's going on here? What do they know that I don't?
Is he already out the door? Is he? I mean, come on now.
Someone that I know from Shepherd was the one who posted the thing about the Steelers, Jeff Hartman, and you know, and about the Steelers would go after him if he becomes available, and that's what went wild. You know, it's like no, don't go to Pittsburgh right now. No, don't do that.
Yeah, Colin Walsh hit me up with that. He was saying, "Oh, it could happen." I was like, "No, first of all, you took my guy Cole Holcomb. You're not taking Chase too. No, it's not happening."
He'd be crushed. Right? You'd have to become a Steeler fan.
Yeah.
He was Johnny. Mm-hmm.
Yo. Oh man, yeah. So so stay tuned. We're definitely going to get into that. We're definitely going to talk about that once it comes training camp and all that stuff. We're getting close to the season, ladies and gentlemen. And we are so excited for it. Let me see, where did I got back. All right. So yeah, welcome to Washington Football Weekly. We are going to go ahead and let you guys go. We do want to also remind you, September 2nd, 2023, the day that will live in infamy. When Spencer Rattler decides never to play football again out of embarrassment to losing to them Heels, baby.
Okay.
Let's go. We might have to have a friendly gentleman's wager on this one.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in.
Oh yeah. I got a jersey for you if you need it. But we'll see. All right, hey, ladies and gentlemen, hey, I'm Sean Spencer. That's my guy, Will Kramer. We'll see you next time. Hey, take care of yourself. Love your hug your loved ones, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.